The information shared on Light Body Radio is for educational and informational purposes only. The content of this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician, licensed healthcare provider, or qualified wellness practitioner with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or health goal. Dr. Laura May, her guests, and affiliates do not claim to cure, prevent, or treat any condition and are not responsible for any actions taken based on the information shared in this podcast. By listening to this podcast, you acknowledge that you are responsible for your own health decisions and that any actions you take based on the content are at your own discretion and risk. Thank you for tuning in to Light Body Radio.
Welcome to Light Body Radio, where science meets soul and healing gets multidimensional. I am your host, Dr. Lara May, functional medicine pharmacist, master intuitive Reiki channel, and certified life and health coach. Here we decode root causes, transmute stuck energy, and empower your full spectrum healing journey, body, mind, and light body. This isn't just wellness, it's awakening, grounded in science, guided by spirit, and designed for your evolution. Let's rise and radiate. Welcome to the next level of you. Hello and welcome to Light Body Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Lara May, and today we have with us Chelsea McLeod. She is a corporate dropout, self-proclaimed, turned hormone health coach for high-achieving women. She is the founder of Healthy Hustle Method, a holistic health coaching program designed to deliver rapid results by fixing root cause imbalances in the body that are common in high-performing women in stressful roles. And after spending 13 years in global brands and heading up a 60 million e-commerce business, she went all in on her high-ticket health coaching business to help a generation of overperforming women look and feel amazing by healing hormones and gut issues. So welcome.
Yay, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about your story. Your bio is very involved, so I actually wanted to hear it straight from the horse's mouth instead of reading it. So tell us a little bit about your evolution.
Totally. It's been a wild ride, as I'm sure it is for most women if they're listening to this and have gone through a big career and a lot of different changes in your body in the process. And so, my hormonal imbalances began when I was 18. But I didn't really know they were hormonal imbalances because when I was 18, I don't know about you, but I didn't know what a nervous system was. I was too busy binge drinking at college. So that's where it began. And it just kind of continued until I turned 30. Now I dealt with a number of different issues. I thought that sleeping 5 to 6 hours a night was normal. I thought cravings were normal. I thought cramps were normal. I thought feeling average and always searching for energy and reaching for energy drinks and power bars was just part of being a woman and part of being an athlete and part of being a leader and whatever that meant for me. So until I healed my hormones, I wasn't really able to unlock the life that I actually wanted to live as far as how I wanted to perform, how I wanted to feel, how I wanted to look. And it actually took me working with a skin practitioner because I had some skin issues, and she was kind of a skin practitioner, but disguised. Like she was really a hormone specialist, and she was asking me questions that no doctor had before. Their first suggestion was just jump on birth control. And her questions were, well, what are you eating? What's the timing of your meals? How much caffeine are you drinking? Do you feel like your heart rate is just blasting on full throttle all day? How much are you exercising? How much are you exercising at each part of your cycle? And what supplements are you taking? And so once I started implementing different lifestyle changes, dietary changes, things really swiftly started to change for me. And that's where I started passing along my knowledge to other friends and family, and my mom, who was going through menopause, and she lost 15 pounds in 1 month and fixed her chronic insomnia after 20 years of not sleeping. And so after that, I just kept on getting people coming to me asking for how to fix their problems. And eventually I had so many clients that I had to drop out of my corporate job because I was like, I can't do both. And it's just been a really amazing ride. And I think when it comes to women who are overperforming and overgiving and overworking, there's just so many protocols that they can implement to support themselves if they're serious about getting better, about feeling and looking the way they want to, about loving the way they look in photos, waking up with real energy. There's just so much hope for these women.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say like it's funny. I think I actually did know I had a hormone balance when I was 18, but I was told so many times that this is just part of being a woman and you just have to sort of suck it up and get over it and move on and focus on other things, that I became complacent really early until I finally reached my 30s. I'm like, you know what? This is bullshit. Should
And that's
feel
so
like being
common.
told that I'm only like 32 or like whatever, So yeah, so let's start with what hormone imbalance looks like first. So let's demystify and actually like put it up on the wall so people can see it.
Some of the most common symptoms are anxiety, irregular cycle or missing cycle, trouble
That
falling
was me.
asleep. Yeah. Very common.
Yeah.
Trouble falling asleep, but not just falling asleep, sometimes either staying asleep or sleeping a long time, but not waking up feeling rested. So they could sleep 10 hours and they still wake up and they're exhausted. That's just a sign that their cortisol curve is a little bit out of whack. Gut issues. So when your stomach tends to expand as the day goes on and you're not really digesting food and you see a lot of bloating or gas, migraines, headaches, or any kind of confirmed diagnosis from a doctor, endometriosis, PCOS, type 2 diabetes is all a sign that, your hormones just need a little bit of a thwack back into place.
Yeah, sorry, I muted myself to cough, but yes. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think especially to let's say that, because this is very common, maybe we were put on birth control very early as a teenage woman or girl, depending on what age that happened to be. And maybe your cycle synced up and that worked for you, but that's essentially just hormone replacement in and of itself. And so then maybe some other things materialized, and because your cycle was normal, regular, you were now just diagnosed with this other thing instead of actually it being, again, like associated with the root cause, which was really a hormone imbalance. And, so I think a lot of us also go through that because honestly, that's just how Western medicine operates, right? It's very good in compartmentalization. It's not very good at looking at whole body systems, unfortunately.
That's right. And it's interesting because, these doctors are so well intentioned and
for sure. Yeah.
It's also not their fault. What I always tell my clients is, it's so important that we take responsibility for looking for the right man for the job. And once you understand how the medical system works, it's like, it's always good to go to a doctor to like rule out any underlying diseases or, life-threatening conditions. But at the end of the day, women are not hiring the right man for the job. And it's because they don't really know. And once you understand the right tools, like it's like trying to screw in a screw with a hammer. Like you're just using the wrong tool. Like you would never hire a plumber to fix your roof, but that's what you're doing by going to a doctor, trying to sort out a hormonal imbalance where it's not going to show up on your labs. They're going to tell you your labs are normal, but what we know is that blood is a homeostatic fluid and it robs from different parts of the body to keep it balanced. So when you're doing a doctor's blood test, they're looking for diseases that are seriously out of range. And, I can't tell you how many clients go even functional medicine to a certain degree. They'll do the test, they'll do the doctor, and they'll say, my labs are fine. And then I get my hands on their functional medicine labs and I'm like, there's a lot of imbalances here, but that's a good thing because then we know exactly what to do.
Yeah. I did a whole episode on the difference between optimal ranges and reference ranges. And a reference range is not an optimal range, like meaning for functionality, so I love that you're helping women like really suss this out and get down to the nitty gritty and understand that.
Totally.
Yeah. So how long, let's say, okay, now we've identified that there's an imbalance and you've come up with a plan, you and your client. I know everyone's different too, obviously, because, especially in functional medicine, we're treating the patient, not the number or, or the label of whatever imbalance or disease they may or may not have. So do you see like an average in terms of a return to balance or homeostasis with your clients?
Most women are able to do this within 3 to 6 months. And it obviously depends on a couple things, right? Number one, how bad is the imbalance? Number two, how willing are they to change and really implement the protocols, right? Because there's a lot here. And
Yeah.
that's why it takes a little bit longer. It depends on their personality. Like there's some women who just come in and they do the thing and they get crazy results. Like I mean, I just had one client who lost 20 pounds in her first 4 weeks. And so it's like, it depends on your compliance to the protocols, also your desire to change. Because what I see as a coach as well is like, sometimes there's emotional resistance to want to make changes or release weight or heal your hormones. And sometimes we really have to dig deeper into the nervous system and also into your just emotional internal world to help shift some of the resistance that might be keeping women stuck. And then obviously how long it's been going on. You know, if someone just recently started seeing some symptoms versus someone who's been struggling with hypothyroidism for 20 years, it's just going to look a little bit different for everyone. But I would say my niche is generally working with those very high performing women who success is not even a question for them. Like it's no other option. They're ready for results. They're ready to take action. They're ready to invest. They're ready to change their lives. And so they tend to move really, really quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, but then you also like, I love that. And I can definitely see that in a certain, that specific subset of women. But I think there's also too this like generational or maybe cultural approach of just some resistance to some of the like you said, the implementation of the protocol. So, whether it's like putting the phone down after a certain time at night, or maybe it's, not sleeping with the phone in your room, or, maybe it's, I don't know, like what are some of the things that you see that like you do get the resistance to?
Sometimes it depends on if it's resistance or if it's just habit that needs to be rewired, right? Because I think those are two different things. Resistance is typically when someone has an emotional reason why they're not willing to change. And that's because there's something in their previous conditions that they're very attached to because it makes them feel safe, right? And so for some women, it's like, I don't know who I am without completely overperforming and overgiving and not taking care of my needs. And when I take care of my needs, it means I'm not taking care of my family. I see that all the time with women. But sometimes it's just rewiring habits. Like, oh, I'm just addicted to my phone because I just work all the time. And it just takes a couple weeks for them to really drill that change. And but we always start small, right? So we can't, what I don't like to do is do too many things at once. So we kind of layer in protocols one at a time.
Right.
And it depends on their compliance, right? So it's like, if I think they're ready, I'll give them like 6 things to do. And if I think they're a little bit slower and want to move a little bit more slower because that's all their nervous system has the capacity for, I'm like, okay, let's just start with adding these foods, removing these foods, just planning regular meal times, and then we'll address the phone and all the other doodads down the road. But we have to really like, the way I think about it is, if we're trying to fill a pool with rocks, it's like, are we going to grab a bunch of little pebbles, or are we going to fill it with like 2 big boulders first and then kind of fill in the gaps once those are in? So that's kind of how I approach it. And that tends to work really well.
Are there a lot of moving pieces and parts to your protocols? Like in terms of like what aspects do you bring together to sort of like create? Are there like core elements that you address with everyone, or is each one like super unique?
There are 6 core principles that are absolutely key to getting results in the short term, but also maintaining them for the long term. And so I always have clients, no matter who you are, you have to nail those 6. And those are connecting with yourself, others, and nature, eating high vibrational foods that help you look and feel the way you want to, but also, 80% whole foods, 20% soul foods. So this is not about restriction. It's not about removing. It's about adding nutrition, but also allowing yourself to enjoy the things that you care about. Nurturing your nervous system, moving your body, feeling your feelings. That's a big one. That's probably the hardest one.
A big one. Yeah.
That down the line, we don't start there. And rest in all forms. So on top of that, we obviously have women's unique hormonal imbalances. where we overlay those core principles with more personalized approaches that are really specific to their unique hormonal situation.
Perfect. And you're not using HRT in your practice, are you, or are you?
I don't use HRT. I'm not a doctor, so I don't prescribe anything.
Right.
I have clients who work with HRT, like they come to me
Mm-hmm.
either transitioning off HRT or maybe they're exploring it with their doctor, and we work around that. In general, what I have seen on lab tests has been HRT tends to solve a problem here, but create a problem over here. And so they're kind of exchanging one symptom for another. Okay, I have hot flashes, I take estrogen, now I've gained 20 pounds. You know, there's obviously exceptions to that rule, and I think there's a time and place for HRT in certain situations, but all I can work off of is the symptoms that I see with clients. And, you know, so far, women who are just doing this naturally are getting really incredible results.
Yeah, I mean, as a pharmacist, I also do not have the ability or power to, prescribe HRT. But I get a lot of questions about it, especially now that there's more and more discussion in the mainstream about what was lacking and flawed in the WHI study, which is, that was a big, for our listeners, if you don't know, that was a big study that sort of framed how Western medicine approached women's health for what, like 30 years? Is that about right? Ish? At least 20, if not 30. And so it really scared a lot of patients and practitioners away from it. And I think because of that, it also actually stunted the education that our Western medicine practitioners are actually getting, unfortunately. And so I think that's also why I know I'm seeing an uptick in my practice too, of just the questions like, how can I do this? What are my options with or without HRT? What does that look like? And what does it look like together? What does it look like separate? And so I'm really happy that the conversation is being had, and maybe it'll also swing the pendulum back towards actually educating physicians about how to do it in a healthy way, because it is possible. But I feel like, unfortunately, it's an example of we have this one piece of evidence and we rely solely on that one piece of evidence. Again, instead of looking at the global picture and being realistic about what were the flaws with that piece of evidence. And so anyway, sorry.
Yeah,
Go
that's
ahead.
so spot on. I think, it's so nuanced and people aren't really getting full answers to this. So I just think it's important to kind of educate yourselves from all sides of the spectrum and make sure that the practitioners you work with, like the best piece of advice I can give for people is like, work with practitioners who have results. Like specifically ask them, what are the short and long-term results of your clients? What's the average result? What's the best result? What's the worst result? Like really gathering data, because I think we're very trusting of anyone with a degree. We're like, oh, they know what they're talking about. They have my best interest at heart. And it's like, no, do your research.
Yeah, I mean, I like to tell my clients that, the best case scenario is that you won't need me forever. You will work together for these 3 to 6 months, maybe even a year, depending on what it is. And you can come back to me for coaching, because coaching is great no matter, where you are in life. But in terms of that functional medicine piece, you should be getting better. And if you're not getting better, then I'm not doing my job. Or you're not participating in the protocol. So, that's the other thing is I tell my clients, I'm the guide, but you have to do the work. I can't do it for you. And so the results come from you, stepping up for yourself and saying, yes, I'm ready to change. I'm ready to implement these things. I'm ready to try it. And if it doesn't work, then we'll come back and we'll figure something else out.
That's exactly right. It's so true.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Tell me more about your practice, your patient stories. I don't know. I love that you're doing this work. How else would you like to guide our audience today?
Yeah, I mean, I work with women in the capacity of getting a certain result on a certain timeline. And for a lot of women, that looks like, obviously weight loss is kind of a big driver for a lot of women, especially women who maybe don't feel or look the way they want to or are used to. My niche is I work with a lot of former athletes, a lot of women who are in big roles. And I'm not the kind of coach who works with people who have like 100 pounds to lose. You know what I mean? It's women who their clothes are not fitting the way they used to. They have to jump to get in their jeans. They're feeling really strung out and exhausted. They're maybe they've retired certain clothes to the back of their closet since COVID because they're not changing a lot about what they're eating, but just with the way they're operating, it's not working anymore. And so we tend to really clean up their diet, look at meal timing. We do functional medicine lab testing to really laser target what's going on for them and look at where in the body has too much of certain things and not enough of other things. Like imbalance in the body just comes from like toxicities, whether it's in the gut, inflammation, stored toxins that just accumulate over a lifetime, or deficiencies. Like, are your hormones firing? Like, what's your dopamine doing? Like, is your gut functioning as it should? Because if it's not, it's going to make sense that you have low mood and bloating and maybe you feel depressed. And so we kind of have to look at the body holistically and figure out like where are those underlying imbalances and how do we really rebalance them at speed. And so for most of my clients, that looks like very rapid weight loss because we're addressing it from multiple different angles. We're doing the emotional piece, we're doing the inflammation piece, we're doing the fat loss piece all at once. And so the weight can come off really fast. So I would say average weight loss. I mean, I have women who lose 12 to 14 pounds in their first 2 weeks. I have some women who don't have as much weight to lose, and maybe they lose 10 pounds over the first 3 months because that's not a focus for them. They're working on maybe hair loss or skin issues or gut stuff. And so it kind of depends on the woman. But I just had one client, Tina, who came in. She's basically an IT director at a company up in New Hampshire. And so she's very busy. She has a company on the side. She's got 2 kids at home. And she was just like, I feel like crap. I'm not sleeping well. I've tried the melatonin. I've tried the pills. I've done added cardio. I've done more spin, more salads. And I don't like the result is not proportional to the work I'm putting in. And so that's where we had a conversation and we kind of figured out that there's a hormonal piece to this. And as soon as we addressed that and did kind of a holistic approach, I mean, she lost 20 pounds in 6 weeks. She fixed her sleep. She's sleeping through the night, no issues. And that's how quickly things can happen when you're ready for it. And, I have other clients who maybe they're not in a rush. Maybe they want to take it a little bit more slowly, but for them, it's, I have one client who recently got out of a divorce. I work with a lot of women who are going through life transitions, whether it's menopause, retirement, leaving a marriage, having a kid, getting ready to have a kid. It's a lot of these big moments that are quite stressful for a woman. And so this client had just left a marriage. She had just lost both of her parents. And during the process of working together across 6 months, we didn't really focus on weight loss per se, but we focused on restoring health to her body. And as a result, she lost 60 pounds across the 6 months, and hot flashes gone, sleeping through the night. It's not perfect. There's always little things that come up, but she's a different person now, and she's in a new relationship and she's starting a new business. And it's just holding women through these transformations is really exciting because I kind of thought I was just going to be a health coach, bossing people around and telling them what to do. But it's actually more life coaching, and helping people become the person who can, obviously following a plan is easy. You can thwack it into Chat GPT, but it's really, people hire coaches because they want the how, they want the wisdom, they want the guidance, they want the accountability, they want the coaching as they navigate these transitions. And especially with women's hormones, it's when your hormones change, you change and your energetic capacity changes. You're not showing up as the same person. You have more energy. Your life looks different when your hormones are balanced. And that was the case for me. It's I didn't get a promotion or meet a partner or feel good in my body until I healed my hormones. And so for most of these women, the body they want, the life they want is on the other side of doing this work.
Do you have a core set of labs that you use with each person? It sounded like you, toxic burden load, nutrient deficiencies, food sensitivities? Yes.
Yeah, so it kind of depends on the person, but the core ones I do is I always do food sensitivity for women with hormonal issues because if you have a sensitivity, it's just going to set you straight into survival mode. And we need to figure out exactly what is activating your nervous system. So that's super powerful. We do gut testing, obviously gut microbiome testing to look at yeast, candida, mold, nutrient deficiencies through organic acids testing, looking at B vitamins, vitamin C, obviously hormone saliva testing, thyroid testing using blood samples. Sometimes I'll do inflammation testing, but I just assume high inflammation for everyone.
Right, exactly. Like if they're in front of you, they're inflamed.
Yeah. And I'm sure you are in the exact same position and use many of these same labs, but those are the core ones. And I'm kind of to the point now that I've worked with 250 clients where I'm like, do I even need to see your labs? I kind of know what's going on here.
I mean, sometimes I have that conversation with clients that are looking at this more from a financial aspect, because the most expensive part about the whole thing is the testing, honestly. And when you're working with a functional medicine practitioner. So, it's like, well, we can do a lot without the testing, but there is a reason we have the mantra in functional medicine: we test, we don't guess.
Right.
And so there are some things that are non-negotiable.
Yeah.
And to me, that's definitely the food sensitivity testing, the nutrient deficiencies, the toxic burden. Yeah. Because those are the things that we can in the short term replenish with, obviously, like changing the diet and then supplements in the short term. And then, but like for the listening audience, then again, ideally, you're not on these supplements forever, most of them anyway. So, but again, it just depends on your lifestyle. Like if you work in an office building and you don't get enough sunlight, then you're probably going to need vitamin D pretty regularly just to keep your levels where they need to be. But
totally.
Anyway, well, I thank you so much for coming on today. Tell us where everyone can find you and see your work.
So the best place to find me is on Instagram at Healthy with Chels. I put out a lot of free content for, those busy driven women who want results. I also have a podcast called It's Not You, It's Your Hormones. And that is on Apple, Spotify. I give away a lot of my protocols, a lot of advice. It's also just quite funny and entertaining. So a lot of people enjoy that for their morning commutes. And then I can also include a guide to my free ebook where if women are kind of hormone curious and want a starting point, they can get the Busy Girl Guide to Hormonal Weight Loss.
Great. Thank you. We'll include all of that in our show notes, which lives at drlaramay.com/podcast. So thank you again, Chelsea. Any parting words that you'd like to leave our audience with?
I always tell women, feeling like crap is common, but it's not normal. And as soon as you're ready to make a change, there are a lot of solutions that will support you in getting where you want to go.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you again so much. And definitely we will post your free guide and even your podcast link on our show notes page so people can find it, because I always want to help people find more resources and, to fill their bucket with information. I feel like more information equals more power and self-empowerment. So thank you again, and we'll catch you on the next episode, everyone.
Thanks, Dr. Laura.
Thank you for joining me on Light Body Radio, where functional medicine meets intuitive healing and transformation happens on every level. If this episode resonated with you, please like, share, and if you're ready to go deeper, visit drlaramay.com to book a functional medicine consultation or an intuitive healing session. Whether you need to rebalance your body, clear your energetic blocks, or reconnect with your soul's purpose, I've got you. You can also follow me on Instagram or TikTok at Dr. Lara May for daily inspiration, energy updates, and healing tools. Remember, your healing is multidimensional, and so are you. Until next time, honor your body, trust your intuition, and activate your light.